What's up guys, I'm extremely excited today because I'm going to be showing off my 6 Ages deck that I've been using to win all of my events. This deck is really unique in my opinion. It took me a really long time to get used to the playstyle. This video might be a little longer than usual because I do want to go ahead and explain why I make the decisions I make and what type of plays that I can make, because it is very different. It doesn't play the way normal decks play. And a friend of mine took this to actually Rhode Island Regionals and ARG and ended up getting 12th, I believe, at both events. It might have been not 12th at ARG, but I think it was, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm really happy with how the deck has been playing. He had made a couple changes to it as well, but for the most part it was the same deck list. So yeah, let me just hop into it and I'll explain everything as I go. So instead of just showing off the magic stones like I normally do, I'm going to explain how the deck actually runs using the magic stones. So with Liberator, the first card you're always going to hit is Moonshade, and we don't actually have any 1-drops in the entire deck, so you're, other than Thunder of course, but no Resonators. So unless you're using the 200 to like kill something with Thunder, you're not actually really missing out on too much. You're not going to be taking too much damage. It's never been a problem with me so far. And then I run 4 Moonlights. The way this works is every single time you have a Moonlight after your first Moonshade, this can copy any color as well. So with the combination of both of these, you can use every single 6 Age in every color combination, and you would never have like the incorrect color. And other than that, I use 3 Magic Stone of Black Silence. This is because the green in the deck is a little bit more heavy than all the other colors, and it is really nice to be able to have Zeke's open on turn 2, for example, or a Cake Zone. Of course that would work with this as well, but it's just extra because I can't run 9 Moonlights, for example. And then I have 1 Grubalesta because Grubalesta is still really good removal for rulers. If they have an Abdul out, which could be semi-problematic for this deck just because all the 6 Ages do enter, even though I use it for the quick cast most of the time. It is kind of annoying to go against an Abdul, so Grub and Flame will take it out. And my last Magic Stone is just another Magic Stone of Moonshade. I found that I feel a lot safer using 2, hoping that just in case one gets Bloody Moon, because a lot of people did start citing it at my locals anyway. And it's a lot safer for me to like not go against a rogue deck or anything like that that has a Bloody Moon. That's going to pop my Moonshade, and I'm out of using any of these for light or water, which I do have a decent amount of in the deck. So I just ran 2 to be safe. There is times where I hit 2 right after each other, but the deck comes back so easily, and I'll explain how, that it doesn't really matter. So I changed up my deck list a little bit from yesterday where I did top, we split for first, but I got pretty much the win for all the Swiss rounds and everything like that. I only lost once to a Dracula deck that I ended up beating in top 4 anyway. And the day before at Saturday, I won another locals using this. And originally I had 1 Kaguya just because I just felt like, you know, why not? If I see it, I see it. If I don't, I don't. But I took it out. And I had 3 Cake Zones, but I cut it down to 2. So I replaced both of those with 2 Mylist. Late game, I feel like this card could be really powerful. The fact that it can do the 300 direct, I feel like is really relevant, and its body isn't bad at all. I wouldn't technically drop this at turn 2 unless it's, I'll explain when I get to the side of why fire is important in the deck, but I wouldn't technically drop this turn 2 if I had better options, but it's really good late game. And then I run 4 Feetsing. Feetsing's really great in this deck because I do run Exceed. It lets me draw and replenish my hand. Not to mention that's just really good for taking out Resonators also. 4-0. 2 of the white 0. By the way, for dark 0, a lot of people don't know this, but it works a lot like Pumpkin Witch does. If you drop this on their draw phase and at any point on that turn, they summon a Cheshire Cat, this effect applies at all times. So it doesn't have to be their immediate field you drop and they lose 2-2. It affects anything on the entire turn. So if you summon this on their draw because they're tapped out or something and they don't get rid of it, or even if they do get rid of it, if they summon anything, it's going to lose 2-2 and all the Resonators will have 2 less attack. So even if you have this and they're going to go for a Lancelot in the future, it'll only be 4-4, which is a successful block from this, or anything like that. 0 is actually really underestimated and it's great. And then 2 white 0. This card is also extremely underrated. The prevent damage is extremely great. I had a moment where I had a Dracula fly into my Mujdart, and I was able to prevent 300 for the Mujdart to live, and it was their only actual way to hopefully even come back from the game because I was going to win next turn, and then I got the game anyway. And then speaking of Mujar, I run 2 of these too. This is by far the greatest 6 stage of all. At first, when I thought its rest ability was okay and the draw would be great, I actually end up using the rest ability all the time. Because all the 6 stages have so much quick cast, I'm able to just flood the field during their end phase and then start tapping their stuff on my turn and then just go for huge swings to the face or getting rid of any Resonator I don't want. And then 2, Featsing the Elvish Oracle. I know by now you guys are saying like, wow, there's so many high-level Resonators in this, but I'll explain why this actually works so successfully. I normally only ran 1 of this and still kind of only want to run 1, but there's certain side options I have that make this mandatory for me, and I'll explain that later as well. And then 1 Almiris, I was running 2 of this, I could see 2 of it still now. Once again, the only reason I'm using 1 over 2 and another Elvish Oracle is because of the side options. And then Grubalesta. Grubalesta is not the greatest 6 stage, but I still like having 1 because it's decent against Light Rush. You can always, you know, if they have something like Jan and you have Grubalesta open, you would Grubalesta on your draw, and then Grubalesta again, and then use this Grubalesta to do minus 400, and it would take something out like Jan. Or if they have like the little Holy Warriors of Hopes or anything, the 400 is semi-relevant, so it's not the worst, but it's also not the best. And then my last Resonator is 3 Carmelas. So once again, don't think that this doesn't work because it has so many high-level Resonators. I'll explain why this build works so well after I'm done with the spells. So for my spells, I have 3 Spiral of Despair. This is one of the key cards of the deck because of the way the deck plays. I'll get more into it later, but this is the best turn 2 play you can do. And then I have, of course, 4 Thunders because I need the removal for those early game Resonators, especially with stuff like that Cthulhu egg-looking thing that is 5/5 with Swiftness and Incarnate. That card could be problematic if you let it live, so I do like getting rid of it as soon as possible. And then 3 Flame of the Outer World, of course, for J-Rulers and just anything that's problematic. It's really good for Naya too since she's in its range. And then I have 3 Zeeks, which is extremely key to the way this deck plays. 3 Exceed, which is also extremely important. 2 Cake Zone, and 1 Necronomicon. And I'll explain a scenario right after this. So I'm going to give you guys an example of a good play-by-play. This is just a random hand I literally shuffled and drew just out of nowhere, and it's something that looks really typical. It's what I'm mulligan trying to get. I don't mind ever having a quick cast in my hand, even if it was white 0 or anything, I would just keep it. I wouldn't risk trying to hit like a Grubalesta or something. And so the way the deck works is, of course, you're going to tap to get your first stone, which is Moon Shade already. I put it on the side, sorry. And this is fully shuffled too, so you would get your Moonshade and end. Let's say you're going first. Let's say you're playing against Burn, which by the way, my friend played against 6 Burn decks and only lost against 1, so don't think that because you're waiting with all these high drops that by any chance that means that you're not fast enough. And let's say they drop a Hunter of Black Forest attack and then they tribute it for the egg thing and attack again, you would then pay the 200 to thunder it. And the egg thing dies, you take no damage. On your turn, you draw. I'm going to get another random card. It's a Cake Zone. This was actually really bad this early in the game, so I hate drawing it. That's why I only dropped it down to 2. But it's totally fine. You would untap, call for a stone. Once again, this is shuffled, and I hit a green. So now I have 2 options. I can either hold this for Zeeks on their turn, or spiral them right now. If I'm playing against Burn, I'm going to go for the spiral because I want them to drop any of their good cards and make their hand really low. So I would spiral, paying the 200 for black, and just end my turn. On their turn, let's say they summon something else, so quickness or swiftness, and it's like, let's say a Lucaru, or they're gonna summon the little Apostle of Cain thing and have a 500-100 and keep 2 open for, I don't know, or keep 1 open for like a Thunder or something, whatever. Let's say that's the situation. Now I'm going to draw another card, and the card I drew was Necronomicon, which of course, see, this is horrible in this situation. I don't want either of these cards right now. I would tap for a stone, and I would end my turn. And this is where the playstyle actually kicks in. So from this point on, no matter what they do, you only respond to their play and their play only. If he has 2 cards in his hand and then he's going to have 3 stones, I'm not worried about anything he can drop. So I'm probably not going to Zeeks, but if he does somehow pull out something I really don't want to deal with, I would Zeeks. So he's going to go most likely for an attack with this Apostle of Cain, and I'm going to drop 3 for 0. Because it does have higher attack, and I don't want to waste the Featsing's protection on just that, even though I can block it. This is going to kill it on enter because it's 100 defense. And let's say they chain Thunder, and I'll take it, that's fine. He's going to have 1 stone tap, 2 open, and like 2 cards in hand. And if he uses that 2 on something that's even remotely crucial, let's say, I don't know, maybe I don't know, I'm trying to think of something burn runs. Let's say they just drop 2 more Resonators, another Apostle of Cain, or a Spawn of Blazer, and they're going to go for a Blazer next turn. They really want to tribute that Spawn of Blazer for a Blazer. And you draw, let's say, Moojart, which is actually not so bad. But so I draw Moojart, tap for a stone again. As you can see, I can't summon the Moojart, but it's fine because that's not my intention. Like I say, you just have to play, like I said, you have to play very patient. I'm now going to end my turn, and they draw, of course it's tapped. They draw, and they have that Spawn of Blazer. They're going to swing for 4, of course, because they don't want to risk wasting that damage when they can just sack it. So they attack. I simply just drop Feet Sing to prevent the damage and block it. I would, of course, play, like, let's say the 2 and 1 colorless. And the Blazer would, the Spawn of Blazer would die, and they wouldn't be able to get off the Blazer because they don't have enough stones now. And if, let's say they summon something else, or let's say they have an answer to this and they kill this. So this dies, and I end my turn. They end their turn. Once again, using that answer on Feet Sing made it most likely that they're either going to be tapped out or they're not going to have too many stones. And that's not so important against red, but it's very crucial against control. And let's say you draw into Oracle. You're now once again, and let's say somehow in a different scenario you had used both of these and they've been summoning a bunch of stuff and they know that you don't have any more Zeeks, so they feel as though it's safe to drop their Blazer. So you tap for a stone and you would end. And let's say they now get their 5th stone and they're like, you know what, YOLO, I'm going to drop my Blazer and just call it a day. And which actually happens a lot in Burn. I'm not trying to seem like I'm giving people bad plays. This is what happened to me in tournaments all weekend long. So they're going to drop 4, they're going to drop Blazer, and you simply just play this is colorless and 4 of this, leaving this open because of course you can use it as Thunder, and you drop Oracle. It gets a counter, and now you're allowed to respond to Blazer. So you say you're removing the counter to make them pay 1. They physically can't afford the 1, so their Blazer gets cancelled. And if that's their whole turn, or if they drop something small, let's say right now you're going to draw, I'm actually looking for it this time because I'm just giving you a scenario. But let's say you draw a Thunder. You can now Thunder whatever they summoned on draw, and then you would untap. And then you would call for another stone, and now we have Blue Ballesta. You see we have 6 stones. You can use these 2 as light, as blue, and 4 colorless. And if this was a Cake Zone, it'd be even better because then we'd have 2 open for Cake Zone for something on their turn, like a Stoning to Death or something. But you would drop Moojart, get 2 counters on this, 1 counter on this. You're now extremely set up. You can rest their stuff. You can draw to come back. You can make them pay more cost for everything else. And there's just no answer. Because you're exhausting so many of their cards during their end turn, and then even if you're going just 1 for 1, because you're doing this all on their end turn, when you draw, you now have 1 more card than they do. At all times, because it's your turn and you're drawing, you have an extra card, you're always going to respond to them on their turn, and you just wait. They burn through all their resources, and then you just win with all the 6 age effects. Because they each give each other's counters, it's almost like having multiple enter effects, because instead of getting these effects off once and that being the monster's enter effect, you just do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and it slowly builds up so much advantage that they just can't physically respond to it. And of course, late game, if we didn't have this Necro, I could just search it with Shahrazad, or search a Flame for my Blue Ballesta combo against an Abdul if I know they're going to J-activate. If I know that I'm semi in the lead and Abdul's going to ruin my play, and I know they're going to J-activate anytime soon, I'll just search the Flame to be safe, leave Shahrazad on the field. I don't mind even if they Flame her. The draw 2 is amazing, but it's not totally required. I'm a lot better knowing that my Flame and Blue Ballesta is going to kill the Abdul, and this isn't going to stop. So yeah, so that's generally how you play the deck. And you just have to be extremely patient. If anyone thinks that it doesn't work, or you're seeing all these high levels and think that it's too much or it's not gonna get you far, please just try the deck. You're gonna love it if you try it. And the Carmelas are of course answers to everything as well. In a lot of situations, why drop Blue Ballesta when you can drop Carmela? I only do Blue Ballesta every now and then if I know it's better, but Carmela pretty much answers stuff like Jayan and everything. And it also goes into the side deck, which I'm going to show right now, which is also extremely crucial to the deck. So for anyone who knows or plays against me knows I really like setting out rulers. I think it's the strongest play you can make because specific rulers are a lot stronger than against entire decks than a 1 or 2 side card options would be. So I run an Alice because I think Alice is the greatest turn 2 ruler, and what I mean by that is I mean, if you lose, I mean, if you win game one, they're gonna pick to go first, and you're gonna go second. And Alice gives you so much advantage that going second doesn't feel like you're going second. It lets you come back so strong that, especially if you have Spiral and then you deactivate it a turn after, do 1,000 to something and take a card out of their hand, you come back so fast that there's no way you're losing game two. And if by any chance you do lose game two with Alice, you're now going first with a third ruler a game three, which almost ensures the win every single time. I've never had a problem switching out my rulers and ever losing if I side accordingly. And then Christy, because Dracula has been getting bigger, this actually won me one of the matchups yesterday at Core because somebody was using Dracula and I was able to just get rid of it permanently. I have a Nameless Girl for White Rush. It's been kind of getting bigger, and Jan and all the little Holy Warrior of Hopes and Grim and stuff are really annoying. So being able to kill all that while still having something that can match Purple Mist is really great. Dracula, because this is also really good against Burn because you can play off low stones. I had this added in Persona Grim as well. I just think it's amazing. There's nothing that Dracula can't do. It's really aggressive, so he's just really good if it does get to game 3 and you're playing against Burn and you're going to go first, I would definitely go Dracula and just win the game. And then Abdul, it's kind of the same situation as Dracula, except it also works against stuff like Oddgrim, where you can just negate all the Tinkerbells and they die. And just in case 6 stages someone else is playing them, it does stop all the enter effects, and if they're not as good at playing 6 stages as you are, it'll work no problem. And then 3 Laura, this of course has to go in no matter what you side, because if you use any of these rulers, you can't rely on the Moonlights anymore, and so because you can't stack the Shade, so you have to take out the 5 non-black or green 6 stages, so the 0, the Mujart, and the there was one other one, I think. Oh, 1 Almir's, 2 0, and 2 Mujart. So you have to put in 3 Laura, and then either 2 Meph, which of course combos well with Abdul and stuff, or if you are going against the rush deck that has dragons or something like Purple Mist or whatever, you go 2 Susano. So those are the 5 cards you switch out every single game, no matter what ruler. And then 3 Scorched Bales, just because, like I said, you have to take out the Moonlights. You would take out 3 Moonlights and leave 1 in, just because I couldn't find room for a 4th Bale. And it doesn't really matter because the only 1 drop we have is Thunder, so if you do hit a Moonlight first, you're not really missing out on anything. You're still going to be able to just immediately use whatever your turn 2 play is, so it never feels like a problem. I've never had an issue with, I almost always steal game 1, especially because 6 stages are so played like super little, and nobody knows what to do against them. And you win game 1, you go Alice game 2. If you don't win game 2, you just properly side whatever one of the other 4 rulers, and you're guaranteed to win. I literally haven't had a single issue with it. So thanks for watching, guys. That was my 6-stage deck profile. I know I never have deck profiles this long, but I really wanted to explain how the deck works because I truly believe it's one of the best decks you could be playing right now, at least until the Faria Sword comes out, because then everyone's just going to be playing Vlad and Bahamut Burn, which I'm not looking forward to at all because I don't like Burn, but I already have an idea coming out of how I can counter that anyway, so I'm not worried too much. And yeah, so I'm just really glad to be able to show you guys the deck. I really hope you guys try it before you criticize it. I know I'm gonna get a lot of, oh my god, he has so many high drops, I have to run little green cats, I have to run blue cats, I have to draw into the stages instead of, you know, just having all of them. But you can't be any more wrong. You can't afford to be tapped out on your turn, or you're never gonna get anywhere. Please trust me and just play the deck the way I suggested. If you don't like it, you can make the changes you want to make anyway. You can even maybe recommend some stuff to me that I might be missing. I'm really open for any questions or anything like that. And if you guys haven't subscribed, I'm doing all the deck profiles for all the other rulers starting next week because I want everything to drop. This was the only deck that actually doesn't use any Bingolf cards or anything like that. So I was like, you know, I'll give them kind of like a sneak peek and do a 6-stage deck first, but there isn't going to be any more deck profiles all this week for sure. There might be a story video coming if they kind of get the story complete, because it is kind of missing some pieces. I need to kind of do a little bit more research to kind of figure it out. But there won't be any Force of Will videos this week except for the openings for Bingolf and Faria, so I'll have those around probably Friday. And yeah, so I'll just look forward to next week's. Subscribe now so you see how everything comes straight to you, because it's a lot easier than trying to keep up with me posting all over Facebook and stuff. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Please don't forget to subscribe, like the video, and I will catch you guys next time.